everybody. Today I am bringing you a layout that has two photos from a recent scrapbook retreat weekend that I was on. And during that weekend I started my nephew's wedding album. So that's a picture of one of the layouts I was doing and the album itself as I was filling it with pages. And the album picture has a big reflection on it, but you know what? Sometimes we have to scrap imperfect photos, and that's just the way it is. So the papers there that I'm using, the cardstock, which will be the background, is from Basil. And then all of the other pattern papers there, the yellow stripe, the yellow kind of fleur-de-lis, and the black and white and yellow, I don't know what that would be called, the one that's right under the photos right now. Those are all from the Paper Studio, which is a Hobby Lobby brand, and it's from the Garment District paper pack. So their wedding colors were black and gold, so I bought this paper pack to use on their layouts. But then I used it on one of my own as well. I am using a sketch from Schmel Lane's Design Decisions class, and as I'm narrating this today, we've had 3 days. If you haven't taken it, it's an excellent class, as are all of Schmel's classes. But because it is paid content, I'm not going to share the sketch with you. You'll just see me go through the process of creating the layout. But as I said, I would recommend it, highly recommend it. If you like her style, it's really good because, you know, she explains what, you know, her style and how she translates that. But she also talks about how if her style is not your style, how you can change the decisions you make to make the layouts yours. And she uses both sketch. You always see the sketches. Sometimes you see the sketch starting out, and sometimes you see it after she finishes the layout, which is kind of a cool way to look at it too. So if you scrapbook one way or the other, you can change your process. So anyway, a lot of stuff about that. What I did there is I matted my photos to set them off. I like to use patterned paper backgrounds most of the time, although in this case I couldn't find a solid that I liked, or faux solid, for the background, so I'm actually using cardstock. I'm inking all the edges of these papers. Even though they're from the same paper pack, I really wanted them to have something even more in common besides the colors to join them together. So I inked them with my Memento Dewdrop ink in gray flannel. I am going to offset that photo mat there just a little bit. I did another layout that's on my Flickr page from this same sketch, and that one was not offset. So it's kind of cool the way you can change those up depending on what you use. I chose a doily from Recollections there to put behind the top cluster. And then I'm going to use that chipboard Love from a Simple Stories chipboard pack from The Story of Us, which was a wedding collection that's about 2 years old now. It's from the chipboard stickers pack, and that will be part of my title. The die cuts I'm using there, so the 2 speech bubbles and that Today die cut, all come from Kaisercraft A Touch of Gold, their die cut pack. So that will again, all these, and that's an older collection as well. That's probably about 2 years old, because I bought these things for my first nephew's wedding album, and then the colors are very similar to the two albums, so I'm actually able to use things up, or I already knew what to use. I bought another die cut pack here, and that's what's laying all to the right there on my desk, is that die cut pack as I'm choosing elements here. I'm just getting that down. And I'm going to try to pull these doilies apart, but they are not coming apart at all for me. That's one thing I find about these Recollections doilies from Michaels, that a lot of times they won't come apart. So there are tons of them, so I finally just gave up. I'm going to finally just give up and say, you know what, forget it, because what was happening is they were ripping as I was trying to take them apart. So that's one thing I really don't like. And I have these doilies in a couple colors. All right. So now I want 3 embellishment clusters, and I think I'm going to move, originally I was going to do the title up on the photographs, but I'm thinking now that I like it a little bit better along the bottom of the layout. And I'm playing around a little bit with how I'm positioning my die cuts, but for some reason that gold die cut that says "for the record" at the top feels a little bit heavy to me. I'm not quite sure why, but it does. I think it's just more solid than the Today die cut was. And I think I was just thinking about moving it just to, I don't know, because it was different or something, to get it in the middle is what I thought about. And then I could have put the "for the record" die cut on the bottom left, but it would have blended into the striped paper there too much. These are some bows that are also from the Paper Studio. They are from the Spare Parts line, and they are the gold black mini bows. So I have a lot of these bows to put on layout. So I thought I'm going to go ahead and just use 3 of them. So they come 6 to a package, and I'm going to play around with what I actually decide to put on my layout. Some of them were feeling a little, again, were feeling a little heavy to me. I thought about that gold one, but that was too much gold. The stripe one I liked, but the problem was that there was already a stripe on the page, and I thought they fought each other. So I'm going to go back to the triangle there and go back to the chevron there, which is what I originally chose for the page. I had at one point thought about using the flowers that are up in the vellum flowers are up in the left on this layout, because there are some circles in the sketch, not exactly how I have them, but there are some circles there, and I ended up just deciding not to use those. Once I decided to use the doily, that just kind of negated using the other pieces. I probably still could have, but I actually like the results of this really well. And now I'm looking at these, and I have 2 elements in each cluster, but I want to have at least 3. So I'm thinking about what am I going to add into this to give it another little pop here. I need something maybe with more dimension or a different texture. And I'm not quite sure what that is as I'm doing this. So when that happens, like a lot of us, I just start doing what I know I want to do, and then I can catch up with the process later. And I actually remember to ink all the edges of all of my die cuts here. A lot of times when I use that Memento Dewdrop, I just ink it directly to the paper. Sometimes I'll use my Tim Holtz little inker. And I thought about, one of the things I thought about is I'm like, you know, I have all those gold hearts that I pre-punched for this layout. I punched them out of both foil and glitter paper. And I thought, you know what? That would pick up nicely on the foil on the bows. And when I started putting them in the clusters, I was like, yep, that is the perfect element to add into these. It gives it another little texture into the layout. That's a Martha Stewart heart punch, and the foil paper is from Recollections. Now I'm still thinking that I want something else, and I was thinking enamel dots, but then I remembered I had all these pearls that I have put aside. So these pearls are also from Recollections. It's a Hobby Lobby and Michael's layout, which is funny because I don't have a ton from them, but apparently I do with these collections, or with the wedding collections. Anyway, so I'm going to add these pearls in each of the clusters, and I like that because, again, it's another texture, it's 3-dimensional, and it's just the perfect sweet touch for a wedding layout. I keep all of the embellishments for these wedding layouts in an iris container with one of the iris trays that you can't get a hold of. And that works out really great because when I want to scrap a wedding layout, I just pull that, and then my papers are all in Cropper Hopper envelopes or in paper packs that I store all together. So I just grab all those things and I'm ready to go. I don't have to search my stash for the different pieces for these layouts. So I like that. Now the only thing I have to do now is my title is going to be Labor of Love. And I was trying to figure out what to do with letters, and then I was thinking about black maybe, but I just felt like that would be too heavy. And as I was thinking about this, I remembered that I had some Dear Lizzie gold alphas. Now that is gold, but it's the rose gold alpha, so I'm not going to use that one. That alpha throws me a little bit just because it doesn't match with a lot of other things. I'm going to probably have those for a long time. So I found the old one, which was one, I don't remember what collection that was from. I know the rose gold was Serendipity, but I don't know what this one was from. And I was just looking to make sure I had enough letters to spell out labor of, and I do. So very excited about that. I'm going to take my wax paper here just because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fit this into the love. I want it to kind of nestle into the word love. So if I use the wax paper, I'll be able to better figure that out without having to stick the letters down, because they lose their stickiness pretty quickly. And I don't want them to do that, obviously, because they'll fall off. They fall off that sheet, so it would be really bad. So now I'm just kind of spacing it a little bit, trying to figure out the spacing there, and I like the way that looks. So now I'm going to stick them down, but I am going to play with it just a little bit once I get them down. I love how this turned out, a labor of love. I think I have about, I have more than 40 pages done. So I'm one album done already. When I did my other nephew's album, it was basically, I think there's 110 scrapbooked pages. So 2 albums and then some, although I did manage to fit them into their 2 albums. So we'll see what happens with this one. It feels like I'm going to have a lot more pages for this one, but we'll see. I don't know that they realize what they've gotten themselves into with Auntie Kelly scrapbooking their album, but that's okay. I know that my new niece for sure is going to appreciate it. I scrapbooked their shower as well. And just in case you want to see some of those layouts, I do have a playlist for wedding layouts. Plus, if you go to my Flickr page, which is Kelly O'Black, I have lots of wedding layouts in a couple of different albums. My own wedding and my other nephew's wedding, and then this wedding as well. And I forgot, well, I looked at the date before and then forgot it, which I frequently do, so I had to peel back the picture. I should just write that down somewhere as I do that, because I almost always forget what the date is. I do want to put just a little bit of journaling on this. I probably could have journaled on one of the edges, but I just decided to journal right below the photograph. And it's just simple. It just says beginning Sebastian and Megan's album, 10/7/16. It didn't show up very well, and I made a little bit of a writing mistake. So what I did is I just went back over it again, over that writing again a second time, and now you can really read it. It's very legible on the actual layout. It may not be as easy to see in the video, but definitely on the actual layout, it's easy to see. That is about it. There'll be a still shot and a couple of detail shots at the end. Hope you are all well, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.